PBKC is your entertainment destination for poker, table games, OTB, paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock Restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222 extension 199 and book your next event today. It's a great Wednesday morning here in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we're ready for the PBKC Pick Show, broadcasting live from the Palm Beach Kennel Club. I'm Mike Jameson. To my right is the president of PBKC, Mr. Pat Rooney.
What's happening, Mike?
What's going on? How's it going?
But we're getting into mid-May now, like we've talked about a lot. Good sports time, playoffs, NHL, NBA, baseball heating up a little bit. You just had the draft in football. We have the schedule release tomorrow, which is
it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I'm telling you. I can't believe the NFL is not taking me up on this suggestion. This should be in some city somewhere. You could have it in an arena if you don't want to go to stadium right off the bat, but put it in some arena. I guarantee you they will sell it. They'll have 25,000 people sitting there, and then have people from each team. Like, all right, we're going to go through Carolina's schedule. We're going to go through Cincinnati, and just have them. People will love it. I don't understand why they're not doing it.
Let me ask you this. Are you excited about the schedule tomorrow? Are you as a Steelers fan?
You know, I guess you are in a way, because I know, it's already been reported we're supposed to be playing in Paris this year. So first game in France. So that'll be exciting at the end of October against the Saints. So I'm looking forward to that one. I kind of wish we would have got Germany. I really want to go to a football game in Germany. I think that would really be cool. But yeah, and the other thing is, I don't think the NFL is doing Ireland this year, which I think is a mistake. No, I think they should continue. When they find these places like Dublin that really seem to be enthusiastic about it, just keep it going. Like, I don't understand why you're just doing it like kind of as a one-off. But again, these are little things for Roger if he wants to take my advice on stuff. So we'll see.
Behind us is Earnest Christian, does podcasts, does poker. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing well. Yeah, no, as Pat mentioned, we're going to talk about the international games in just a few minutes, but we're going to start the show by talking about our May 100K, which is actually going on this week. It's going to start tomorrow, the 14th through the 17th. That is the best structure of any of the big tournaments at all of South Florida, with a $100,000 guarantee. We also have some flights going on starting tomorrow with 5 flights. We've also had satellites going on all week for only $65, and that's going to start tomorrow. That's going to go the 14th through the 17th. It's the May 100K right here at PBKC. You can get more information by clicking poker on our website at pbkennelclub.com. But now let's talk about the schedule release. I've seen so many leaks of what's going on.
Too
in the
many
schedule.
Leaks, man.
We were talking about it in our office yesterday. We know the kickoff game is going to be the Seahawks against an opponent that has not yet been named yet, and that's going to be September 9th. One of the things we're going to talk about is all the games that are international. And so you got Australia in week 1. You got the Niners versus the LA Rams. That's got to be a first time in Australia. How do you feel about the travel of going? I mean, I'm glad it's week 1, but how do we feel about playing in Australia, Pat?
I mean, I'm all for any of this. Anything that you're trying to grow the game and grow the exposure, I'm for that. I think the NBA has tried to do that to an extent with China and other places like that as well, France. So I don't have an issue at all with the NFL doing it. I'm sure the players aside from the sightseeing aspect, which I don't even know if they get to do much of that anyway, probably don't want to do these things because especially going to Australia, that is a poke. Like that's going to take you a day and a half to get there, and then you got to acclimate yourself to the time zone and all that kind of stuff. I would imagine they're probably going to play that game like the Major League Baseball does when they go and play Japan or whatever. They sort of play it, before the season is official. So I wouldn't be surprised if they play that game like a week before the season's supposed to start or something to give these guys a chance. Because otherwise you're going right into the break. They're going to go into the bye week probably right after that, and that's a disadvantage to those two teams to have a bye week that early. So I got to imagine the NFL is figuring out a way to schedule that so that it doesn't really injure in terms of the psyche and all that kind of stuff of those two teams, because that'll take a lot out of you. Traveling there, playing a game, traveling back, it's going to take you a week or so to recover from that one. So, but again, I'm all for it. I just think the NFL, at some point, I think what's happening with all these international games is, at least with the NFL, is they are trying to set up a potential division, probably somewhere in England, Germany, France, somewhere, have a division there. Fine. I get, with the way travel is now, it is a little bit of a burden to get there, but at the same time, you travel to Seattle from Tampa and all that other stuff. So it's not like it's that much out of the ordinary of what you're already doing for a lot of these NFL teams. So I think they're trying to get this set up to put a division in there, probably when the next collective bargaining agreement, talking about Robert Kraft talking about going to 18 games. They're going to do that. So I think that all meshes with why we're having all these international games and probably going to have a Super Bowl over there at some point, which I know is anathema to a lot of people here in the U.S., but we're trying to make this, a worldwide game.
Right.
So those are the logical steps to me. You're doing all these international games. Yeah, it's great. You get some exposure, people over there, but at some point, I think the payoff is we're going to put a division there and then, figure out the travel and all that kind of stuff as we go, and probably going to do a Super Bowl over there at some point. And I think when we come up with the next collective bargaining agreement, which I think is in a couple of years, that's probably, that's probably the time to say, all right, now we're going to have a division, we're going to have a Super Bowl, and see where it goes.
Yeah, these are not pebbles anymore. Like we do the London game once or twice a year, and a little bit of this and the Mexico game. No, this is more than pebbles now. This is actually, we're rolling out some more things. There are 9 games in a year. That's a lot. And I guess to your points, Pat also is how far away from actually realistically having a actual division, because that would require probably expansion as well too. Also, which means now probably gonna have like 36 teams, I would imagine, right? At least 4 teams in the division. Yeah. So you're looking at 36 teams. Look at 4 markets, maybe Germany, maybe like I said London. Which at this point we have to. If the folks who are against this growth of the game or this international games, I get it, because I feel 2 ways about it as well too. Also in terms of like this, the fact that I don't like the idea of if I'm a Dolphins fan and I'm losing a home game as a season ticket holder to an international game. That doesn't sit well with me. Now, do they price it for 7 games or 8 games, or do they price it for 9 games? I don't know. But we're going here. This is going to happen at this point. The game is growing, and that's Goodell's job, is to grow the game, and he's doing that. And I think sometime by the time I'm getting ARP, we're gonna have as you said, Pat, a division. A European division, you want to call it? I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but
maybe 2 divisions. I mean, at some point they're going to do it.
Here's the bottom line: we're rolling. We're going. Yeah. Like the trains left the station a long time ago. Mm-hmm. This is not Pebbles anymore. We are now. This game is now an international game now.
Yep. Going over the international games, obviously I mentioned Australia week 1. That's the Niners and the Rams. 2, Super Bowl contenders.
That's insane, though.
That's
Why
tough.
would you put that game?
Yeah, I know.
Especially a heated rivalry game, and now you're going to lose it. Is that a Rams home game? Or
whose home
game is that? That's going to be a Rams home game.
Okay, so to be fair, you guys know the Rams, they are mostly a 50-50 team in that stadium because a lot of road teams do well there. So if you're going to split that game off, that's the game to split it off, not the Niners side of it.
So we got week 3 in Brazil. That is the Cowboys and the Ravens. That's Rio de Janeiro. That is the September 27th. And the other markets that we're playing games are London, Madrid, Mexico City, Munich, and the first ever game, like Pat mentioned, in Paris. So that's going to be
my one concern, though. Which game was it? Was it last year or before that where they had the issue with the field? Was it in Mexico or was it in Brazil?
It was a South American country, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully they fix that issue, because that's a whole other issue you got to worry about too. Also, is the field conditions also for these players.
The one thing I don't understand about Brazil, to some extent Australia, to another, not as big an extent in Mexico, but I don't see what the long game is going in. Like, this is the third or fourth year in a row we're playing in Brazil. What? Unless they're legitimately thinking of putting a division down there, which I don't think they are, why aren't you going back to Dublin again? Dublin was a huge success, and that's Europe. So you could conceivably say we're going to have a Dublin team, an England team, a France team, and a Germany team, and they're all relatively close together. Brazil is nowhere on the map. If you're going to do Mexico, I'm okay with that. If you're going to try and do something in Canada with Toronto, Montreal, I know they got the Canadian Football League, but I'm assuming that they would be subsumed into the NFL. If you're thinking of doing North America, I'm okay with Mexico and Canada if you're ultimately thinking that. But Brazil doesn't make any sense to me. Why this is the third year in a row you're playing down there?
This tells me that we may be getting eight teams now. Probably 40 is the magic number probably for the NFL. You get 4 teams in Europe, 4 teams in the North America, the American Peninsula. It works for itself. There you go.
So talking about the games that have leaked so far, obviously I mentioned the kickoff game is Seattle versus an unknown opponent, and that is September 9th. That's going to be a Wednesday, which is interesting. And then the next...
You got to remember that, too, also. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
You throw us all off.
Well, then the next day is the Australia game, so they're playing on a Thursday. So that's,
for us.
All right, so, yeah, I don't know what time that is for them. That could be...
What time's that for us, though?
8:35 p.m.
Oh, so it doesn't affect us here, in America,
right.
of course. Okay.
And that's on Netflix. But then the Week 1 Sunday Night Football matchup is Earnest Giants hosting the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm so sick. Dude, I feel like every year for the last 15, 20 years is always Cowboys, Giants. Stop! I need 10 years away from this crap. Seriously, stop.
And Monday Night Football Week 1, we've got Kansas City facing off against the Denver Broncos. So that's
we don't know if Mahomes will be ready for that game. That's interesting.
That is a big question.
Or Bo Nix might not be ready for that game.
Can I just say quick though? I get these publications because the NFL doesn't put us out. Actually, it's Bleacher Reports, it's the ESPNs. I hate these leaks. What's the point? If you're gonna leak the whole damn thing out. What are we doing? Like, seriously, this either give me a whole rollout, like Pat said, like do like a whole big rollout, or give me nothing.
Yeah.
That's it. These leaks are just annoying as hell.
Because they get people like us to talk about it and be like,
Exactly.
We'll talk about it on Thursday.
Yeah,
Thursday's for
right,
it.
right.
Ernest, we are those people now. I don't understand. But now, let's talk about. I don't know if you watched it the other night. I've been seeing clips of the Kevin Hart roast all week. There was some very inappropriate things. I thought it was a very funny roast. Tom Brady made a special appearance and kind of crashed the Kevin Hart roast to kind of get payback. He was the last roast on Netflix last year or the year before. Out of all the athletes out there, Pat, and there's a bunch of them. You can name some of them that are still on TV or some of them that aren't. Who are the funniest athletes of all time to you?
I really tried hard to think about this. I went through, all the baseball, basketball, football, hockey. The guy that stands out for me, and a lot of times he's not even trying to be super funny. I think he is, and that's Charles Barkley. Yes. Barkley to me is the funniest guy, and sometimes he's not even trying to be funny. He's just funny.
That's a beauty.
Shaq is funny too in another way. But I was really racking my brain. I'm like, give me a baseball guy like Bob Uecker, but he's not really. He was a player, but he got funny because of Major League and other things that Miller Lite beer commercials and stuff like that. But I was really racking my brain. I'm like, give me like anybody else like in football that's like super funny, and I couldn't think of many guys. So it was a good question, but you would think there'd be a lot of guys that would really be funny, and I don't know. I just couldn't come up with a ton of guys.
No, you nailed it, number one. That was my answer because to me, he's funny. Charlie was one of my idols for the record, okay?
Me too. I love him.
I've been loving this guy since I was a child, okay? Like, the bald head is because of him. That started at a young age because of him. He's funny because he's authentic. Mm-hmm. He's not putting up a show. What you see Charles Barkley is who he's been since we saw him in college at Auburn going to the NBA. He's the same guy in his 60s. He does not change whatsoever. So Barkley's the easy answer. For me, to me, it's Eli Manning. Because Eli, because again, like Barkley in a sense, but
I'll give you Eli and Peyton. I think both of them are funny.
Right, but again, to the point, they're not trying hard. Eli just trolls. Like him and Brady trolling each other, for example, with the rings and stuff. Like, he's not trying hard. It just happens to fall in his lap. And it's one of those things where, like, it's almost like adorable, like I want to call it. Like, it's really naturally funny, but not trying. He's not a try hard. So to mine it's Eli. Charles is like in a case by himself somewhere. Don't touch him, because Charles is Charles. But Eli Manning is my pick for that.
Yeah, for when they were playing, you got guys like Miguel Cabrera, who always seemed to have a good time and kind of poke at the other players. Vernon Maxwell is one of my favorite podcasts.
Oh, yes, that's a great one.
If you ever catch a podcast with Vernon Maxwell,
stories
to me,
galore.
It is must-watch TV. Blake Griffin, who was also on one of the roasts a while back, he is pretty hilarious. Charles Barkley, obviously, is at the top of the game, because if you ever hear him talk about the women of San Antonio, oh man, like him and Shaq going at it, and everybody starting Charles up. But there's a lot of funny athletes. You could even include Pat McAfee in there, who actually had a stand-up tour before he became all famous.
By the way, you mentioned Ernest Maxwell, which I love. Mad respect for you for mentioning Mad Max.
Yeah.
His stories about Utah, playing in Utah year to year, gold. I'm telling you.
Yeah, now watch the video of when Vernon Maxwell tells the story of when Hakeem Olajuwon at halftime slapped him across the face. One of the greatest stories I've ever heard in NBA history.
So good, man, so good.
But if you have any funny, athletes or former athletes, go ahead and comment in. Now we're going to talk about something that it just keeps hanging on, and it keeps coming back in the news. Vrabel, Rossini, the drama continues. The Patriots have come out and said they're not going to do anything to Mike Vrabel. He's safe. The players are still behind him. Are we just so tired of hearing this?
I know
you think he should be punished?
I think you are, Pat. I got a feeling.
I am. I don't know. I don't know what else you can do. This is to me, it's a private matter between two people and then their spouses and significant others and all that stuff. If they are dealing with it, then it's none of our business. If it's somehow, like I said, the one aspect for me that bothered me was Vrabel taking off the third day of the draft. That was stupid. That's virtue signaling. Like,
yes.
No, you could wait another day. The therapy isn't going to mean that much the next day versus you. Again, day 3 to me is when the coaches are the most important. You generally know who you're going to take day 1 and even day 2. It's the same group of guys, and if one's gone, then you just picked another one. Where you make your money is that day 3. You're trying to find special teams guys. You're trying to find diamonds in the rough that might actually be able to play on the team. That's where you need the coach. That part of it was stupid to me by Mike Vrabel. I have no idea why he decided, I'll throw this out there, and maybe that'll make things good. Other than that, all this other stuff, if Kraft is okay with them and the players are generally okay with them, it's none of our damn business how this gets rectified after this. She's already quit whatever job she had, so who cares? I just don't understand why this is even still sort of in the news at this point. But I mean, Vrabel's going to get crap, and he goes to Buffalo, he goes to the Jets. They're going to be on him, and I'm sure he's ready for it. But other than that, it's football at this juncture, and the only question is mentally, can he do what he needs to do as coach with his other stuff going on to do what he needs to do? If he says yes and the owner says yes, then what are we going to do? Like, you can't throw him in jail or anything for this.
Exactly.
This is just two people screwing around or whatever happened, and they're dealing with it. So I don't know. I just think it's dumb.
Like, what is he being punished for exactly? Like, I'm not trying to condone cheating, obviously, but this is a morality issue, not a professional one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you being punished for? Unless it was something to do with her giving, like, access or information for other teams, which to this point we haven't heard anything of the sort yet. It's just a cute story to fill up the gossip columns. And it's to your point, even ESPN and TMZ all dabble in this thing. It's a fun story if you like that kind of smut. Fine, go right ahead. But it's in the grander scheme, it doesn't matter. He did nothing illegal here. So again, it's filling time. And you know what? And unfortunately now, because we're getting to the time of the year now where sports, like obviously basketball's winding down, hockey's dying down. There's only going to be baseball, a little bit of golf here and there. There's a lot more time for this to be the thing until we get to training camp. So I'm sorry, Efrem, it's not going away for a while. So training camp at least. I'm sorry, bro. It's not going away for a while. So is it a fun? I'm not tired of the story because I come on. We want all of us once in a while getting. We like to read a little smut here and there, whatever. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter in the grander scheme. This is a morality issue, not a professional one. No one's in trouble, and let's move on.
Yeah, if I want a soap opera, I'm watching General Hospital today at 3 p.m. But
3 p.m.
Yep.
You know the time. Look at you.
What is that supposed to mean?
Because you're correct for the record.
If you had to build a championship team right now, who is your current defensive tackle, Pat?
That's a tough question because the three guys I like are kind of older, and I don't know if you'd be building your team with them. You know, I like Quinnen Williams, I like Cameron Hayward, and I like Chris Jones. So those are my three defensive tackles that I like. But Quinnen's not super old, but Cam and Chris Jones are getting up there. So those are the three guys. I know there's a kid from Carolina. I think that's I can't think of his name. I think he's a good defense tackle, young. And I actually like the Steelers guy Harmon. He was hurt a little bit last year from Oregon, but he definitely seems to be a difference maker. So if you're going like super young, like he's a guy that I would look at. If you want to go for a more established group, Chris Jones still. I know he fell off a little bit last year, but man, that dude was definitely a game changer for a long time at a position where, for the most part, you're just trying to occupy tackles and guards and let the linebackers make the plays. And he was making a lot of the plays for the Chiefs. So he's at least of the recent guys, he's the guys I would probably still take.
I mean, this should be a two-part question. If you look at defensive tackle for the next 5 to 10 years versus
this year,
sample size right now, just 1 year. 1 year, we're buying in 1 year. Like, obviously, you're looking at guys like Dexter Lawrence, obviously. Quinnen Williams, for the record, I love the answer because, like, Dallas' defense was horrendous before that trade with the Jets. And at least when he got there, they were actually palatable. They played a little better and actually improved somewhat because he was there. So Quinn Williams is a good one for me. But if I'm looking at long term, like the next 5 to 10 years, Jalen Carter for the Eagles. You guys an impact player. Without question. So that's the easy answer for me.
Yeah, we can go ahead and pencil in Noah's answer.
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter, too.
Jalen Carter.
I'm taking Quinnen Williams for the Cowboys. Now let's move on to Hard Rock Bet and what they got out there for their new offer, which just started a couple of weeks ago. If you sign up as a new player, you deposit, place your first cash bet of at least $5 with the Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook. You're going to get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet is settled as a win. Only the first place qualifying cash bet will qualify for the promotion, and you got to be odds of minus 500 or longer, and those are going to be split up 6 times with $25 bets, and those are going to be loaded into your account on bet settlement, and that expires 7 days after issuance. More information on it, go to our website, pbkennelclub.com/hardrockbet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida, must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE. Now let's talk about some baseball. And over the last week, when it comes to, my favorite team, the Braves, we've gotten some really sad news. Bobby Cox, who was one of my favorite managers ever, and Ted Turner also passed away, who not even only the Braves, that's, just sports in general. Two of those guys that were pivotal in baseball, especially in the 90s. Bobby Cox was one of my favorite managers. I love hearing all the stories from his former players, and he was known as a player's manager. To you, Pat, what is the best managerial style?
That is an unbelievably difficult question. I think you can boil it down to whatever managerial style wins games is what you want. You can run the gamut with guys like Bobby Cox, who were, they could get fired up once in a while, but for the most part, they were, laid back and, let the players play and that stuff. You had a guy like Tommy Lasorda, who was in your face, in the player's face all the time, always yelling, screaming, but he won. And he took over for a guy, Walter Alston, who was completely the opposite of Tommy Lasorda, who was very reserved, quiet, didn't make a lot of waves and things like that. So now, if you're asking me, I like the manager style that you can be buddy to an extent with players. You obviously want to relate to them. You want them to, rally around you and those types of things. But I also think if you get too close, and this might have been the issue that Mike Tomlin was having a little bit with the Steelers versus like a guy like Bill Cowher, who, had his emotions on his sleeve and all that kind of stuff. And then, that was like a shooting comment. And at one point he just, he couldn't yell anymore. He just did everything he could do to motivate guys, and that ran out. Whereas Tomlin was able to survive a long time because, even though he could be fiery as well, he kept a lot of that, I think, in-house, and that made him successful to that standpoint. So there's different types of manager styles. I personally like a little bit of a fire in a guy, and I want a guy that's going to tell me to some extent what's going on. He doesn't have to give all the trade secrets away in the locker and all that. But if you just let me know, hey, we got to get these guys. I'll give you another example, like Rob Thompson with the Phillies who just got fired. He was always like super pop. These guys are going to hit. I'm like, after a while, I'm like, Coach, they're not hitting. Something's going on. Just tell us. Just say, hey, I got to get this guy going. I got to get Harper going. I got to figure it out. And they're getting. That's what Lasorda does. Like, they're getting paid a lot of money. They need to figure out what to motivate themselves. Every once in a while, you need to hear that to be like, all right, at least he has a finger on the pulse of what's going on in there, and maybe he can rectify it, behind closed doors. Whereas sometimes you just get guys who are like, they're going to start hitting, they know what to do, they blah blah blah. I'm like, obviously don't. They're losing 10 games in a row, so there's a major problem there. So I think it's a mix of a guy that'll give you a little bit, at least give you some insight, but can be tough. And at the same time has a way to relate to the players, which is difficult today because guys are a lot of times the coaches and managers are a lot older than the players, and the generational gaps seem to be getting wider and wider with as time goes on. So it's a tough call. I like the fiery style, but that tends to burn out after a while, so to speak. So long term, you need a guy that's going to be like a Bobby Cox, who's going to be steady. The players know who the boss is, and tries to get the most out of them.
No, Bobby was my perfect answer for that, because he was a mixed bag. Like, he did care, but he was also laid back when he needed to be. It wasn't a show.
Yeah.
Like, these guys who burn out early. Like, I remember Tom Coughlin's first couple years with the Giants. Like, he was very much fiery and almost got him fired for the first 3 years because at some point it wears on you. But at the same time, being too laid back also wears on you in different ways as well. So you need a little bit of mixed bag. You need someone that can know when to hold back, but also save that moment when you need to. For of course, Bobby being with the most ejections in history. He saved those moments for when he needed to. But he was a players manager. Obviously, they won a lot of games. I mean, they probably left at least 3 or 4 World Series on the table under his stable. But we look at top managers of all time, like Joe Torre. As much as I respect Joe Torre, he's too laid back for me. He's way too laid back. I'm not saying he wasn't fiery, in the clubhouse off camera, but you didn't see that at all on camera. Bobby Cox, you got the mixed bag. And Bobby Cox has always been more my style anyway. I like someone who cares, but not overly indulgent in it also, too. So.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of answers to that one. Now we're going to move on and say the Braves are right now at the top of the power rankings. They just took the series from the Dodgers over the weekend.
Good job.
Just beat the Cubs last night. They're at the top of the power rankings, and right now we're at the quarter point of the season. Do we feel any differently right now about a Dodgers repeat, Pat?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the Braves are a legitimate contender. Listen, I thought the Braves were going to be good this year. Don't get me wrong. I knew they'd have to have a bounce back after all the injuries and everything last year. I didn't think they'd be quite this good though. They're legitimately the best team in baseball right now. I don't think there's any question about it. Ohtani's gone through something where he went through a spell there. He wasn't hitting. He really drives that ship in L.A. I know they got a ton of really good players and pitchers, but if he's off, I think the rest of the team just sort of falls, with him. So I'm assuming Ohtani will get it back together here as the season goes on and play to a ridiculous level, both hitting and pitching. So I still have the Dodgers only because they did it last year, and it's virtually the same team, and they know they can do it. But the Braves are a legitimate contender. If you just look at the division. Like, the Phillies just ran off like 12 out of 14 wins. They're still 10 games back behind the Braves.
Yep.
So, I mean, they ain't winning that division. So the Braves are going to win that division, and, they should be able to rest some guys as the season goes on and things like that. So I think the Braves have a legitimate shot against the Dodgers, not just based on this last series, but because they're playing at a really, really high level.
You talk about repeat. They're going for a three-peat right now. They already are back-to-back champions right now as we speak. Yeah. So they're going for a three-peat. And I don't feel differently about it because bigger picture, they're still a better team. Now, if there are health issues, Mookie Betts, I think it's got back recently in the lineup.
Just came back.
If he's not healthy going into October and Ohtani's still struggling, maybe hurt again, whatever, and say some of the pitchers are not doing well, then maybe there's a chance though. But the Dodgers' high-end powers are still better than anybody else, not even close. Having said that, seeing the Braves beat quality teams here, the Dodgers, the red-hot Cubs right now, and they beat them in a series. That's a good sign for the Braves going forward. But again, we are only in May. Okay? We are in May. I mean, we've seen teams like the Mets in the past start well, and then what happens? By July, August, it's petering off the tracks at that point. So they are a legit team. They're going to win the division, obviously. And for the record, they won a World Series a couple years ago. So they've been in the conversation for the last 5-6 years. So it's not like this is a surprise. The Braves are a very good baseball team when healthy. And what made this turnaround this year so significant was the fact that they started off great, and they weren't even healthy. And now they're getting guys back now. Yeah. You know, so, but I hate seeing you happy like this, bro. I don't like this. This is not cool.
Yeah, no, I don't like this. This is not cool. So difficult for you to talk about. But Acuna is right now on the DL. Hopefully, he's going to be back in the next couple of days. But no, I'm hoping the Braves can keep up this momentum as we go into the middle of the season. But now let's talk about something I know Pat wants to talk about, and that's PGA news. We got the PGA Championship this week. We're going to try to pick a winner, but there was news that came out yesterday about Rory cutting his practice short because he had a really bad blister on one of his toes. Have you heard anything about this, Pat? And do you think it's going to have any effect on him?
Hey, it can have an effect. You got to walk this isn't like the golf I play from a cart. You're walking this, and I played around it many times, and it's very hilly. So you got to be, in shape, and you can't. That's the thing about golfers. You get one little thing, you get a blister on your index finger or something, and it affects how you swing a little bit. You got something going on with your feet or your toe, absolutely, that's going to affect how you swing. Now, really good guys can compartmentalize that and figure out a way to still, execute shots and things of those natures, but it's absolutely a factor. If it's super bad and he's having difficulty walking, yeah, that's going to affect your game. So I just find it odd that I don't know who his shoe manufacturer is. I'm assuming it's Nike, but I'm not sure about that.
That sounds right, actually.
If it's Nike, how do they not know what his size is and what type of material he likes and blah, 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 that doesn't happen? I've worn shoes, and I know exactly. I need 12 wide shoes. That's what I need. If I got 12 regular or 13 regular, I'm going to get blisters. So I know what shoe size I wear. And usually you can tell just walking around in them after like 10 minutes, 5 minutes that something's rubbing here. So I don't understand how whatever shoes he got, and he walked around in them for a while and didn't notice that something was going on. And immediately it was like, hey, I'm getting some friction here, between my right toe and my big toe or whatever it is. And you can't, as a golfer, you're like a pianist out there. You can't have anything going on with your extremities. That's the whole execution of shots thing. So I'm actually surprised he let it go as far as he did before he's like, all right, now I got to, because I saw the short video, and I think they had to take him off on a cart during the practice round.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I don't know what's going to happen, but that could be a much bigger factor than people think it is.
But he's still playing, though.
I think you'll play, you'll tape it up and all that other stuff. But what happens with those types of things is, they don't just generally heal up pretty quickly because you're walking on it the whole time.
Absolutely. Yep.
So it's at the very least, it's just going to maintain and be painful. It could get worse though, even with it being taped up and everything else. And that's something that they're going to have to keep an eye on.
Is that why he's plus 800 is supposed to be the favorite?
Because, that could be.
I mean,
did those odds just change? Yes.
I have not seen the odds beforehand, but you got to assume that if Rory's in any sort of competition right now, come off the Masters win, you got to figure he's at least a better odds-on favorite to if not next to Scheffler, ahead of Scheffler, at least right there with Scheffler. The fact it's plus 800 is a lot of value there.
Yeah, Rory's odds went up a little bit. This is currently at plus 850. He was plus 800.
It's moving.
Yeah, it's moving up. He was just at plus 800, and this was on Monday.
Should you bet it? Yeah, he's hurt. And look, I'm about to say for time I'm a golf expert, of course. I'm not. I base everything off of you and what you're saying. But I know in golf that any subtleties.
That's what I mean. Any little thing. You have a hang nail.
It hangs anything.
That is going to affect mentally how you approach shots and things like that. Again, I don't know if it's left foot, his right foot, if it's his big toe or whatever, if it's the side of his foot or whatever. But your swing is so in tune with everything. All those guys,
Yeah.
that's why they spend all that time on the range. They're trying to get the same swing as close as they can. So if anything throws it off a little bit, if your foot is hurting and you either consciously or subconsciously are favoring something, that is going to throw your swing off just a little bit. But guess what? That's all it has to be for you to start hitting the ball left and right. If it's just a tick off on the club face, then it's going in different directions than what you thought it was going to go in. Again, I'm not saying, hey, there's a saying, beware the injured golfer, beware the sick golfer, because in a weird way, a lot of times, depending on the injury or the illness, guys they won't be as nervous because they're focusing on that thing, and so that takes away the anxiety part of playing golf. So in a lot of ways, depending on that, like Tiger in that one U.S. Open where he had a broken leg, was able to still win it. Because in a way, it took his, not the Tiger ever got nervous or anything like that. He was a different human being. But for a lot of guys, when they get a little injury or something, that gives them the ability to focus on that, and it takes away the nervousness and everything of like, oh my God, I'm in the PGA Championship in a major. I don't think Rory's not at that level of concern because he's so good anyway. But it could make him play a little bit better, but it just depends on really how that is affecting his swing.
You talk about the mental
part of it, yeah.
Right.
It takes your mind off all the other stuff going on, and you're like, oh, I'm focusing on my foot.
Out of every major sport in this country, like golf is by far lapping the most. You got to be locked in.
Absolutely.
There's no teammates here to depend on. It's you locked in. Where you at? Every hole. Boom. That's
Earnest,
it.
I've played with a ton of pros, and to me, they're all virtually the same from tee to green. They hit it a mile. It's straight on the green. The difference with most pros is just putting. If they're making putts that week, they win.
Right.
If they're not, they don't. And that's it. When you play with amateurs are everything. They could be driving the ball great, but then they're hitting their irons all over the place, or they're putting great, but they can't get on the green in regulation.
Right.
That's not the same with pros. Pros are so well-oiled machines because they spend all that time. First of all, they have natural talent, but they spend all that time on the range honing that in to a finite degree. They all know that they're going to hit it 330 down the middle and get it on the green with an 8-iron. It just is, are they going to start making some putts? And so Rory, I think with him, the biggest obstacle for this particular thing is just the walking of that course. And like I said, I've played there many times, and it is hilly. So you're going to have to be in shape to do that. And so it becomes a factor of, can I just compartmentalize this and make it just like I can block everything else out and focus on this and still do my job, versus it's legitimately impacting the way I swing. Like every time I swing or take the backswing, there's a shooting pain in my foot. That can be enough to throw off your game a little bit. So we'll see.
And yet I find myself here like wanting to probably take a flyer on plus 850 because
it could be good.
Because of who it is.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Tiger, won a U.S. Open despite having a broken leg. I'm not gonna say Rory is Tiger Woods, but he probably the next tier down, right?
This is the Jordan flu game right here.
Yeah, there we go. So for the value alone, like I'm not gonna depend on this bet. I might have a emergency bet behind it to cover my money, but it's Rory, man.
I'm with you. I'm not discounting that at all.
Yeah,
that could happen.
I may put a flyer. If that goes 900 to 1,000, I'm putting it in.
Yeah, now these are the insights we give that Pat gives on this show. Now we're going to talk about some of the odds. Some of the odds, it wasn't just Rory's that odds changed on. We have Scotty Scheffler. He's stayed at plus 450. I think that's a good bet. I think he's primed to win, personally. Then you got Rory at plus 850, Cam Young at 1,100, John Rahm at 1,400, Ludwig Aberg at 1,600, Xander is at plus 1750, Matt Fitzpatrick 2250, and Bryson DeChambeau was originally on Monday at plus 1750, and now he's up to plus 2250.
What happened?
Something must have happened.
He
to
got a blister too, also.
In the last couple of days.
I don't know.
His odds definitely went up for the PGA Championship. If you're going to pick somebody to win this, who are you picking, Pat?
Well, I'm discounting all the Live guys. With whatever's going on with Live, I think it's a super huge distraction for Rahm and DeChambeau. Anybody else that's on Live, I just think there's so much going on with that tour right now. They don't even know if they're actually going to play next week or whenever the next tournament is.
Wow.
Because they just don't know where I know the Saudis have promised to fund it through the rest of the year, but what's going to stop them to be like, nah, we're not funding it now, or we're done, you're on your own. And I just think there's so much uncertainty with what's going on there, and half these guys don't know if they want to try and come back to the PGA Tour, or DeChambeau's saying he's just going to put on YouTube videos and play in the majors, and that's it. So I'm discounting all those Live guys. I think there's just too much going on with that tour, so I'm discounting all those. I would love to jump on Cam Young. He had an unbelievable third round at the Truist in Charlotte last. He was like 9 under. Then he bogeys the last hole, and then has a crappy fourth round, which is very unusual for him, the way he's been playing. So I don't know if that was a one-off aberration where he's going to get the hot streak back again here. I think Aronimik sets up well for him. I think he could play really well there. But that last round really, because it was so out of character with how he's been playing, gives me a little pause with him. Scheffler, again, we keep waiting for him to win a damn tournament. He comes in second a lot.
Place all the time.
So I until he does, I don't know if I can pull the trigger on him either. The guy I really like is Matt Fitzpatrick. I actually like his brother too. I don't know if he's playing in this one. I don't know if he got into this one, but I like Matt Fitzpatrick for this type of course. I think he'll hit the ball well here. And again, it comes down to putting, and he's a pretty decent putter. So, if I had to jump on somebody other than Scotty or Cam Young or Rory, I think I would go with Matt Fitzpatrick here.
Yeah. What's his number?
Matt Fitzpatrick. He's up there. He's right now currently at plus 2250.
So he's the same as DeChambeau.
Yeah, same as DeChambeau.
So maybe do a top 5 for him. Maybe probably get it like 800 or 700.
Yeah. See, right now, to me, the best bet, and this is how I would play it, and not being a golf expert like Pat, $50 on Scotty Scheffler, and you're going to get a 20% profit boost on that. $50 pays you $320 on one of the best of the world.
And that's the thing too. Also with these bets, like that's why I love betting golf now. Like you're getting value no matter what. You're getting good value, even with the favorite. You're getting good value. So it's worth it. Worth a shot.
Yep. Now let's talk about the NBA. The New York Knickerbockers swept the Philadelphia 76ers. OKC swept the Lakers. The Spurs and the T-Wolves, Pistons and Cavs are both back and forth. It's really been a exciting playoffs in the NBA. You got right now San Antonio bounced back with a big game from Wembanyama, and they're now ahead of the Timberwolves. And then you got the Pistons and the Cavs. They're tied up right now. So how do you like the playoffs so far, Pat? It's been great.
I hate them. I mean, the Sixers got swept. So
that was my God.
Listen,
I can't believe that.
And I almost would be more worried if I was a Boston Celtic fan, because in a way I expected this from the Sixers. I didn't think they were even in any area competent enough to come back from 3-1 against the Celtics. I still don't know how that happened. I mean, I watched a decent amount of them this year, and they're the same team. So in a way, it tells me more about the Celtics and something going on with them this year, because there's no way Philadelphia should have beat them. Then they come in and they play the Knicks, who I didn't think were as good as the Celtics, and got absolutely obliterated by them. I think they lost by 40 or something in the last game at home, which had more Knicks fans in it than Sixer fans in Philadelphia. Sixers are a mess. They're one of these teams that's just good enough to get to a certain level, and you think you're not close. I give them a lot of credit. They got rid of Morey. That's number one. They got to find a way.
You're for that?
Huh?
You're for that?
Absolutely. When he brought Harden in, that was it for me. I'm like, and he kept talking about Paul George. I'm like, Paul George is 100. He's a guy you bring in for a team that's really, really close to winning. That's not the Sixers. Now, Embiid was not his issue. That was the guy before him. But they got to figure out something to do with Joel. I like Joel, but he ain't going to do it with this team. He misses too many games. You got to. He's on the ridiculous max contract or whatever, so it's going to be almost impossible to move him. But I just don't know what they do. You're going to run this back again next year, and what's it going to do?
Yeah.
Like you got Knicks fans taking over, the arena. It's embarrassing. I don't know where they go from here. I'm glad they got rid of Morey because like I said, I didn't like virtually any of the moves that he made, but I don't know what you can do because this roster is pretty much set. You got Maxey, who I like. I like Edgecombe. George is just getting old, but they need a bunch of different types of players to even have a chance to compete. And I don't see, if you got to keep Embiid, he's going to miss half the games or more, and he's going to be flopping around, and I don't know. It's really depressing as a Philadelphia basketball fan that I just don't think they're going to be able to do anything in the next couple of years.
I thought Edgecombe would have saved his job, actually, to be honest with you, because for not having Embiid healthy last couple of years, and the Paul George thing's been a failure. They have drafted well, and the good news for the Sixers is that the timeline for Edgecombe, if he's going to be the star as we think he's going to be going forward, the time to pay him will come around the time that Embiid's contract is done. So there is the synergy of that. Okay, well we'll be able to work on 2 timelines, in other words here. So you just need Embiid to be healthy for April, which was the case, and he did play well, and he won a first round series against Boston. I don't understand how they got swept though. And the worst part, New York wasn't even healthy either. They lost OG and Anunoby after game 2, and they still won. They won. That made no sense. I think after they lost game 3, I think they mentally checked out. They were done, and they're in Cancun already. But I'm still shocked that they fired Morey. Honestly, I thought Edgecombe would have saved his job. As for the rest of the playoffs, okay, what do you touch on here? OKC. Come on now.
Yeah, they're winning it again, I think.
Next. Okay, next.
Over, yeah.
They're just doing their job. New York, like I said, the stretch of New York last – I don't know. This Knicks team is so weird. They were literally down 2-1 to the Hawks. And ever since then, they've not only won every game –
They've blown teams out.
And not just blowing them out, they're destroying them by 30 and 40 points on a regular basis now. Yeah. Is that a New York thing? Have they figured something out? I know Cats play more facilitative ball in a sense. Maybe that's just the way to win now, I guess. But here's the bottom line, Knicks fans. I know y'all excited. Y'all probably, after the Cowboys, the most thirstiest fan base in the country. Mm-hmm. Y'all ain't beating OKC, bro. You're not being OKC. You're not being San Antonio. So this calm noise. Will you win the East? It's likely. Although Detroit did own you guys this year too, but Detroit's been kind of weird all these playoffs as well. So you have 2 sweeps. And you got 2 good series going on, Toronto and Cleveland. That's been kind of a home-and-home series. I don't think that'll change. I think they'll go 7 games. Honestly, Detroit's weird. They haven't gotten their footing yet in this series. I don't get it. And then, of course, people surprised by Minnesota and San Antonio. I don't know why. I said this 6 games for it's going exactly like I thought it would go, actually. They split the first 4 games. I think San Antonio won game 5 obviously last night, and they'll win game 6 because Wemby's back, and he's pissed off.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'd like to see a pissed off Wemby going into that OKC
You saw him last
series.
night?
Yeah.
Didn't play. Wasn't playing around. And for the record, Minnesota, they're a very good team. They're a top contender. They've been in the conference finals the last couple of years.
Definitely.
You know who Minnesota reminds me of is Sacramento, like 20 years ago.
Yes,
it's like,
they're
like one of these really pretty good teams, and they seem to run into other teams just in that particular time period where they like. I like Ant. I think he's a hell of a player. I just don't know if they're ever going to get anything further than where they're at because they got. Unfortunately, they're in an era where there's a couple teams that are just a lot better than them. But
that's what happens. Like a lot of times, you have these teams who are really, really good, but then it's like this generational teams that is like ahead of them. Like with those teams in the '90s, like that. The Knicks were good teams. The Suns, were good teams.
Knicks did too. You're right.
But that Michael Jeffrey Jordan guy was pretty good too, also, and that was a problem. So there you go.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Let's talk about the guy who's compared to him all the time. After the Lakers' elimination, LeBron James stated, "I don't know what the future holds for me." Amidst rumors he could evaluate unique veteran minimum contract options. What do you think LeBron should do right now, Pat?
This is a great question. I am not a LeBron hater. I think this guy is a physical freak. I mean, to be playing at 41 or whatever he is, he still looks good. Like, he doesn't look like an old man going up. Like, Jordan looked old at the end there. Like,
he did.
He looked old. LeBron does not look like that. LeBron looks like he can still play. my whole thing with LeBron is I don't know what else he has to prove. He's won championships. He's not going to catch Jordan in terms of getting 6 or plus more championships, I don't think. So at this juncture, it's like, does he want to go back to Cleveland, just end it where he started? Does he want to go somewhere, Oklahoma City, if they would have room or whatever to take him, just to win another championship? But otherwise, it ain't happening with the Lakers. No. And I really don't. I know it's hard. I don't want him to go on the rocking chair tour. I can't stand that stuff with guys. And I hope LeBron doesn't fall into that and do it and, go get everybody claps and all that. I mean, if he wants to, that's up to him. He has earned that. But I'd really like to just see him either say, I'm going back to Cleveland and playing 1 year there, and we're finishing it, where I started. Because they do have a chance. They're going to have a decent team next year. Or just retire. I don't think he'll do that. I think he wants something. I don't know what it is at this juncture, but I don't see him just retiring now. I think he's going to at least play 1 more year, but I don't think it'll be at the Lakers because I just don't think they're going anywhere with or without him. Although Doncic and all those guys are good, they're good players, but I just think it's run its course in LA. So I don't know what the next move is for him.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, he's still a top 20 player in the league. So why would he retire? To satisfy fans? No. If you love playing the game of basketball and you have options to maybe go to a great team that on a vet minimum, you do that. But again, it comes down to one thing: what is his priority? Like, does he feel like something to prove in his head? Forget what we think, because what we think is different. What does he want? Does he want more titles? Does he want to just enjoy playing basketball? He loves the game, like Tom Brady. I truly believe Tom Brady played as long as he did because he loves football. He loves the camaraderie of football, the whole environment, and all that. I think LeBron is kind of wired the same way. So it comes down to the fact. It comes down to what does he prioritize? He has nothing to prove at this point. He's my number 2 all the time. I don't think he's going to catch Jordan. I think height of power is Jordan's number 1, LeBron's number 2. Come on, second best player of all time in the NBA. Come on, that's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Come on, what are we doing here? In a league that's existed almost 90 years?
What would you do if you were him? Would you come back?
I keep playing.
With the Lakers, or would you
No. If the priority is to win championships still, you have to make a sacrifice here. You have to take a vet minimum to a team that is in position to win a title, but you also can't kill their salary cap because you just can't do that. So Cleveland makes sense because they can Cleveland can use LeBron's leadership at this point. Cleveland is a very talented. Cleveland has one of the best rosters in basketball, but they can't seem to get over the hump in May. You see it right now. Mm-hmm. So LeBron, if you just add LeBron an event minimum, not having to get rid of anybody else, they're probably one of the favorites in the East next year. Yeah, because LeBron's still really good. You watch him this year; he used to average 23 points a game. Come on now. So I think he'll be playing a couple more years. Like the way he looks right now, he can play another 5 years. Honestly,
I agree with you.
I'm not even joking when I say that.
Yeah,
he's in phenomenal shape and whatnot, and still plays well. But it's about what he prioritizes. Is he having pains now? Is he getting tired of the game? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think he is, but went on his head. So
I think the only option is for him to go to Cleveland, because everybody's going to say, oh, he's just going back home. He wants to win one more championship. The teams he took to the finals from Cleveland were like not even close to what they have now. I think he's going back to Cleveland. That would be.
I guess the question will be, which teams do you see him playing on that are title ready or in the conversation that he can elevate without having to sacrifice the roster? Cleveland's one team. I look at New York, especially when New York loses in the conference finals to either Detroit and Cleveland. You look at maybe even San Antonio. San Antonio's a very young team. They have a lot of cap room still. You're not paying Wemby yet on a big deal. So San Antonio can actually afford him. Mm-hmm. So that'd be another. If I'm LeBron, 41 years old, San Antonio Spurs.
That'd be interesting.
Something to look at.
Yeah, let's talk about the NHL playoffs right now. In the NHL playoffs, the Carolina Hurricanes swept the Philly Flyers. Buffalo Sabres tied right now with the Canadiens at 2-2. The Avalanche have a 3-1 lead over the Wild, and the Golden Knights from Vegas are up 3-2 over the Anaheim Ducks. How are we feeling about the NHL playoffs right now, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I go back to my prediction. The Hurricanes, or Hurricanes as it's spelled there, versus the Avalanche.
Space.
I think that's still on. I mean, I know, there's a theory out there that you don't want to have too much downtime in between these series and stuff, and the Hurricanes have swept the first two teams that they played, so they're going to have a little bit here of a wait between Buffalo and Montreal. I do think Montreal or Buffalo finds a way to get through that series, but the Hurricanes are going to be tough. That should be a really, really good series. I just think Buffalo's a little too wet behind the ears yet. They haven't had a lot of hardcore playoff experience, whereas Carolina has. So I still look for them to win either against Montreal or Buffalo. The Avalanche should take care of the Wild here the next game, and then they're going to wait for the Golden Knights and Anaheim. Anaheim's a better team than people think. Mm-hmm. They're kind of like Montreal. They're probably a year or two before where they can blossom into something much better. So I think the Golden Knights will probably win that. Golden Knights can give the Avalanche a little bit of a series, but again, I just don't think the talent and the way that the season has gone, I think you're still looking at this Avalanche Hurricanes final, and it should be really good. I'd give the advantage to the Avalanche just because they've been so good the whole year, but the Hurricanes are a legit team, and if they played in a different market, I think they'd be getting a lot more publicity than they are.
Buffalo was what seeding were coming to the playoffs? Where were they?
I think they were one. Were they one?
No, Buffalo's that high,
yeah.
really?
Yeah, they were.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, they were highly seeded for sure.
Interesting. It's a wacky year.
Yeah, it's a wacky. They haven't made the playoffs like in 6 years.
That's what I'm saying. And meanwhile, the two-time world champs, like second last in the entire conference. Make it make sense. I don't understand that.
It's a wacky. It's one of the. It used to be, if you guys remember, hockey to make the playoffs. 30 years ago was not. You basically had to have a pulse, and you were making the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Now they made it like really hard to make the playoffs. So the teams that get in there are generally pretty good now.
Yeah. But this is going to go chalk, though. Really, the way it's developing now, the way these two teams are playing, it's going to go chalk.
Yep. Now we're going to talk about our sports bets of the week. We already talked about the golf. I'm taking Scotty Scheffler for $50 to win this. Any other sports bets you have this week, Pat?
Well, I mean, I mentioned Fitzpatrick. I would probably throw a little money on him. Trying to think. Phillies are playing Boston right now, and then they play the Pirates after this. Ooh. That should be a really, really good series. Mm-hmm. The Phillies have been playing at a ridiculous. And by the way, I was talking to Lex about this on the drive over here. How does a managerial change make a difference amongst grown men players where they looked absolutely horrendous for a month period, and now all of a sudden look like a completely different team with the same players? Mm-hmm. I like Donnie Baseball. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I like Mattingly. I thought he did a great job with the Marlins when he was here. But how does a manager have an effect on a team that at least in Phillies case?
I think it's coincidental.
I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. I think the Phillies could go in another.
They are too good a roster to be that bad. You know that already.
I know, but but they played that bad. Something happened, and so I'm not completely buying it yet that they're back and all that stuff. I think they'll battle. Again, their starting pitching is really good, and for the most part, if Schwarber and Harper will hit, they do have good. They do have good hitters on the team. So I just don't think that this is going to continue either. At some point, they're going to have another little lull, and they're going to be battling for that wild card because they're not catching the Braves.
They're going to get in wild card. They're going to get in.
So they're going to be battling for that wild card, and then we'll see what happens at that juncture. But I just don't get how a manager can, especially in baseball, like I don't get it. I don't understand how guys can all of a sudden start playing good.
All I know, Don Manley right now, manager of the year.
Yeah,
that's all I know right now. Now.
Absolutely.
Donnie Baseball. I always, even though I'm a Yankee hater, I always loved Don Manley, even back to his playing days. So
I don't know how you didn't like Don Manley. He was just one of those
guys. He's a nice guy.
He was
bro.
just a ball player. That guy
he's
was
a ball player, baseball guy. You know what I'm saying? How can you not like that guy?
I do have my shirt here for Lex, by the way. I got her.
Oh, you brought it.
I got her a lost a bet shirt, so she will be wearing that. I might make her go to a Flyers. No, she's got to go to a Penguin game in Pittsburgh with this shirt on, which is really embarrassing considering how bad the Flyers really are that they somehow beat the Penguins. But
that's great.
But we will have film of this. That's part of the deal, that it's got to be filmed.
Yeah.
She has to wear the jersey in, keep it on the whole time, and until you get out of that arena. It's got to be one.
Shout out to our executive producer, Lexi.
That's my new favorite player. Lost a bet.
We won Peru. Lost a bet. I like that. Lost a bet.
Number 0.
Lost a bet. That's my life right there. One of the cool things we have coming up this weekend, it's not as big as we'd like it to be, but the Preakness is coming up. Instead of running that at Pimlico, they're going to run it at Laurel this year in Maryland. Golden Tempo, as we talked about last week, like a couple of hours after we had talked about it on the show.
I told you that was going to happen.
Yep. She must have listened to the show. She said, no, they're going to skip the race. So we have a 14-horse field, which I'm happy.
That's a lot, though.
I'm happy with 14 horses.
I am, too.
For sure. So the early favorite is the 9 Iron Honor. The horse that I like is the same horse I picked in the Kentucky Derby, now at 5-1 odds, and that is the 12 Incredibolt. Anything you like about the Preakness Stakes, Pat?
I like that Osella or whatever, the horse that came in third.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's going off at high odds
6
again.
6-1 right now.
All right. Well, I mean, at least he's racing. Thank you, trainer and owner, for allowing your horse to compete against other horses 2 weeks after a big race. So I think there's 3 horses that were in the Derby that are in this, but I like Osella. I mean, I'm sure there's other horses that are now well rested and everything. Laurel is going to be interesting because I'm not sure what the dimension of that track is versus Pimlico. I think it's a smaller track in general because they're talking about limiting the attendance or something because it can't handle what Pimlico can handle. So that'll be an interesting sidebar to this whole thing, but I hope Osella wins. And then, please, if you do win, go to the Belmont, and maybe Golden Tempo will show up then, and we can actually have a match race between those two. But I went off on horse racing last week, and so I don't really want to repeat too much. But it's just they can't get out of their own way. This is the one chance they have, this like month and a half period of the Triple Crown, where people notice what they're doing, and it's like, nope, we're going to rest the horse. We're going to. I get it. It's worth a lot of money, and you don't want to have the thing come in DFL and ruin the perception of whatever it is because you won the Derby. But man, you might have one chance at this thing, and now you're like, yep, we're gonna rest them. So
yeah, we had a comment last week on one of the clips we clipped about the Derby on YouTube, and the person said if the horses sound, they should not be forced, but they should be they should have to
highly
run
encouraged
in the second round. And I agree with that to a certain extent. I've had that argument a couple of times this week that if the horse is sound, let it run in the Preakness. Let's get some excitement going on, So that is going to all be on this Saturday. The post time for the race is around 7 o'clock, around 6:50 to 7 o'clock. Yeah, so that's going to be a great race. That's the second jewel of the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes. And, of course, you can come out and watch, wager, and win on it starting Friday at noon right here at PBKC. We also have May High Hands going on right now. We have a May payday every 15 minutes, 9 a.m. to midnight, $15K cash giveaway on the 30th. And we're going to talk about those paddock shows because we got a lot of cool shows coming up in the paddock. Absolute Queen is one that
really
Earnest is already talking about. So we got Absolute Queen on the 2nd of October, Bad Moon Rising on the 9th, and the USBGs on November 13th. 3 new groups that we've never had here. We're really looking forward to those shows, and we have a lot more shows coming up. So stay tuned to social media and our website. And what are your final thoughts for the week, Pat?
No, I mean, I think we've touched on a bunch of different stuff. This is it's like October. May and October are similar, and a lot happens in those months sports-wise, and you really got to try to enjoy it a little bit because then you get into the doldrums of summer here pretty soon. And it's fine just having baseball. That's the rhythm of summer. But May, there's a lot going on, and I'm excited about the Preakness, excited about the PGA Championship, and then like we talked about, you got NFL, or you got the schedule, and then
big deal, as you said.
Absolutely. So there's a lot happening virtually in every sport right now. So if you like sports, this is a great time of year.
I actually don't mind the summer lull.
I'm okay with it too. I'm okay with it too.
I need a break from you. I need a break from football.
I'm with you.
You only appreciate it more when it's away from you for a little while.
I agree.
I didn't have a chance to do my parlay real quick. 3-team parlay tonight. Raptors. Not Raptors. What I'm talking about. Cavaliers, Pistons. Game 5 tonight.
Yeah, you said Toronto a couple times.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Like, what?
You did.
You said Raptors.
Because all those teams like all similar, I guess. I don't know. Cavaliers, Pistons. Game 5 tonight. 3-team parlay. I'm going to take the Pistons tonight to cover 4.5 points. The under at 212.5, and then K come to him, yes, on a double-double tonight.
Okay, enjoy one of the more exciting weeks of sports in the summertime, and we're going to catch you right here on PBKC Picks next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Have a great week, everybody.
Sorry, Toronto.
PBKC is your entertainment destination for poker, table games, OTB, Paddock live events, and exceptional eats. The Paddock restaurant is perfect for meetings, corporate functions, parties, fundraising, and more. Call 561-683-2222 extension 199 and book your next event today.